Well, you've seen monsters 10 through 9. Let's talk about what I think are the scariest monsters in Dungeons and Dragons. Hi everybody, my name is Justin. Welcome to Game On, a show all about tabletop gaming from RPGs to board games and everything in between. This year, for Halloween season, for October of 2022, we're going over the top 10 scariest monsters in my opinion in D&D. You can see the playlist up here for 10 through 9, but today we are going to go on to number 1, what I think is the scariest monster of D&D. Now, back in 2020, I did make a video saying what I thought the scariest monster of 2020 was, in my opinion. But that was kind of a meta thing. I'll also post that up here. It was a meta scary monster. It had a lot to do with what was going on that year. But today we're going to actually talk about more like what you would expect to find in a D&D game. So let's get into it. Let's say your party is going on a quest. Maybe they're a couple of level 4 characters going on a quest and they're walking through the countryside. Now, there's a whole bunch of cornfields, there's some, vegetable gardens, there's a lot of grains being grown, there's an orchard, there's a lot of fruits and vegetables that you are going by on your way to this quest. And there's a lot of birds around because these darn scarecrows aren't doing much to help scare them away. You see somebody out there maybe an elf using some of their prestidigitation or something, trying to scare some of the crows and other birds away, but it's not really doing much. Now you walk about 5-6 miles down this path that still has corn and beans and everything on the side of the path, and you see a scarecrow and no crows whatsoever. Now this scarecrow is a little bit creepier, but it doesn't look that much different from the rest, so why are there no crows here? So you walk down, a couple hundred feet, and you realize that you dropped something. So you bend over to kind of pick it up, and you look up, and that scarecrow, there was a scarecrow on there, right? Wasn't there a scarecrow on that thing? But he kind of turns around and looks, is like, well, there was a scarecrow on that, where did it go? And that's when you are ambushed by a couple of scarecrows. Yes, I'm sure you figured out by now, scarecrows are probably the creepiest monsters in D&D, in my opinion. Anything that can be like an inanimate object that turns into a monster, like a mimic, is scary, but there's something about the scarecrow. Maybe it's the uncanny valley. It's not a human, but it looks like it has human features, the same reason why we would find a doll scary. It's not quite there, and I have an innate little bit of a fear of scarecrows. I have seen them when I was at my family's farm in Illinois. When I was young, I saw one kind of get blown in the breeze, and it looked like it moved. Now, obviously it didn't, it was just the wind. But since being, I was 3 or 4, since then I've had an innate fear of them. They're kind of creepy. I mean, come on. You can laugh at me all you want, but if you're walking in the middle of a cornfield and you're kind of following the deer path or the path that your uncles who own the farm are using for their tractors or something, and there's nothing else out there except for a scarecrow and it moves in the wind, you're going to be a little bit freaked out. I don't care how tough you think you are. Now imagine in D&D when that thing can actually come alive and attack you. That's creepy, and that's actually, it's really cool because in Curse of Strahd, they're a little bit more souped up, and they attack you in packs, whereas in decent regular lore, they tend to just kind of attack you at one at a time. But either way, they're kind of just not a fun thing to fight. They do some slashing damage. Obviously, fire hurts them extra, but it doesn't really help with the fact that they're just creepy. It's hard to have kind of scary things in D&D because there are a lot of powers, abilities, magic that you can use to kind of help get over the fear of monsters. But the scarecrow does a decent job of, no matter what level you are, it's just kind of creepy because it plays on our natural fears as the players, and not so much on our player characters. Now, if you do want to play in a game where both the players and the player characters are kind of creeped out, if you want join my Patreon, I have a Call of Cthulhu campaign that I will be running called The Dark Streets of Arkham. It's only $5 a month to be part of my Call of Cthulhu campaign, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be creepy, it's going to be spooky, it's going to have a lot of awesome Call of Cthulhu callbacks to it. I think you guys will really like it if you're into that kind of stuff. If you're more into D&D, I am also writing a D&D Spelljammer homebrew campaign that you guys can be part of, playtesting it and kind of helping me write it. If you join the Patreon as well, you'll also get the module for free when I publish it. So if you guys have any interest in that, I'll have a link to my Patreon down below. And if you like my list, if you think the Scarecrow is #1, give me a like, even give me a dislike if you dislike the idea of Scarecrow is #1, but I want to hear in the comments what your top 10 scariest D&D monsters are, or at least give me your #1. Thank you guys super much for watching. My name is Justin. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you all. I hope you guys can grab some dice, play a spooky module or two, not a scoopy module, a spooky module or two, and as always, game on.